Hey Ken, Ron Harrell at Vertifor. Hope you're doing well today. Tracy and I wanted to just say thanks again for the opportunity to present our AMS 360 and platform solution to your staff last Thursday. As a matter of follow-up, I put together generally a video like this which just highlights a couple of the key items that we showed in the demonstration just from a review standpoint. You can certainly feel free to forward this to the other members of your staff who are in the demonstration. And hopefully, as you all consider choosing AMS 360 and Vertifor, this will help to remind you of some of the issues that we covered during our meeting. So sit back, relax for a few moments, and I'll cover some of these items for you. The first thing we want to remember, Ken, is our initial My Agency Home screen, which is where every user comes when they put in their login and password. They will come to this screen. And you'll notice, if you recall, we talked about the tiles up here at the top for the things to do, incoming documents, expiring policies, the recent quotes, and the work queue. So every user would see their things to do list here. They can highlight them, they can change them, they can complete them, they can extend the dates, right? They could go to the Unprocessed Documents tab, and they can see all of the documents that are sitting on their desk. This is a different way of handling documents than you might have done in the past. But the point is, you can still have a document folder for each person, and you can drag and drop documents into that folder so that they're visible here on the desk. And then as they highlight a document, like we just did, they can create an activity, they can change the index, re-email the document, reassign it to someone else if necessary. If they are maybe commercial lines staff, they can click on the Expiring Policies tab up here at the top, and they can view all of the expiring policies that are coming up for them. They'll be color-coded. The ones that are past due might be a different color. The ones due for today might be green. But they can have a visual on their expiring policy list, and this list comes right off of the expiration report that you might create every month in the agency. Also, for personalized staff, might be an integration here to the recent quotes, and I can always come here and click on a quote that might be pending and go right back into the rating system. Just a very nice way to integrate the two systems together that you don't have today. Integrated rating either here from the My Agency Home screen back into the rater, or from the client file back into the rater. And naturally over here on the far right hand side is the export button, where you can move this quote from the rating system back into the customer's file without having to re-enter any of that information. The last item we'll talk about here just for one quick second is the work queue. And this was the ability for the system to show you the items of work that are in progress down here on the lower left-hand side of the screen. And I can click on any one of these and go out to that client's file, Carpenter Construction Company in this case, and I can see what are the items that are due, what are the items that are past due, and again, items that might be coming up on future dates. This is the workflow that the agency can customize virtually any way that they want and be able to track all of the work in progress that's being done at the agency CSR level. I'm going to go back to the main screen here and talk about one other item that we really didn't get a chance to talk about during our initial meeting, and that is the integration here, if I can click the right button, way down at the bottom to the class cross-reference. This is the integration here to Reference Connect. And you mentioned to me that you're not really using Reference Connect all that effectively. This might be a way that you could really help to grow the business over the next 2 or 3 to 5 years, and that is by expanding the marketing capabilities of the agency to reach into different types of risks that you might not be looking at today. And so a CSR or a producer could come here, put in a description of a risk, click on that description, and the system would take them right to the Reference Connect screen, the reference library. And from right here, I can learn a lot about this type of business, maybe the recommended coverage forms, coverage definitions. I could open the risk survey, I can see all of my SIC codes, NAICS codes, GL codes, workers' comp codes, and I can become pretty much an expert in this business by reading through this information. There are 650 different classifications of risk. You see them over here. Maybe it's manufacturing, maybe it's media, whatever it might be. I can click on any one of these, right, and find this information on other types of risks that you might be passing on today. Ken, another area that we talked about extensively during our meeting was the client file. And you'll notice here we're in our customer file that we had in our demonstration at my client Mike's Warehouse and Cold Storage. And we talked about the customer information at the top, but mostly we focused on the policy information and how we find the policy detail. And the one area that I asked your staff to really remember was 3 words called the deck page view. And when I click here on the deck page, our system takes us to the single screen where we can see all of the policy information for this particular client. And I chose a package policy on purpose to show you the basic policy information here at the top, but the fact that I can use the hyperlinks at the top of the page to move to that individual policy detail. So if the client had a question about the business auto side of this policy, one click there can bring me down to the coverages for the business auto. I can scroll up or down using the up arrow, down arrow to find the individual vehicles, and I can quickly move to the other types of coverage like general liability. One click there and I'm in the GL coverages. One click I'm here in the property or in the umbrella coverages, and this allows me to move very quickly through this information. The reason we can do this is one of the main differentiators in our system, and that is that this is just a web page. So it can be as long as it needs to be. It can grow exponentially as you add other policies. And so this is one of the key areas of servicing in our system. And you can also launch any transaction from right here. If I needed to endorse the policy or renew or rewrite or cancel, I can do all of those transactions from right here. And I can get to the applications, the auto ID cards, certificates of insurance, other types of forms are all right here on a pull-down menu. Makes it very easy for me to service my clients through the deck page view. Ken, let me take a moment to just mention a couple of items about our accounting system. As I mentioned to you previously, that AMS 360 is a real-time accounting module, which means for your staff, there's no end-of-day process, no end-of-month process, and all of the transactions are provided in real time, which means that you can run any report at any point in time. Now, most of this information will be found in the back office portion of the AMS 360 system, but we talked about things like the bank center and how you can have multiple banks loaded here, and that all of the transactions are just going to be on a menu selection. So as I go into my trust account or my operating account, you'll see all the views that I have, the actions that I have, the ability to write a check, the ability to create a journal entry, make a deposit, receipt money maybe to a direct bill account or even to an agency billed customer. Or I can go to the company centers, the employee centers, and I can see all of the commission setups and the vendor setup, all of the vendors that the agency has, maybe where you write your bills, the phone bill, the electric bill, things like that will be loaded up here. And then last but not least, there is the Financial Center, which is the summary or the dashboard, if you would, of what's going on in the agency over the course of any given day. So you can see how many checks you have to print, receipts that might be waiting to be deposited, if there's an open bank rec, if there are invoices to print, unbilled policies, open direct bill statements. All of this information is summarized here for you just based on the individual views, so that you could go out and look at any journal entries that are there, any account current statements that you might be working on, commission statements that you might be working on. I think someone, Michael might have mentioned budgets, that type of thing. All of that information is right here, summarized in the Financial Center. And then from a reporting perspective, as I mentioned previously, you can get scheduled reports. These are reports that the system will schedule and create for you automatically, and you can push that report to any individual. Even if they're an individual outside of the agency, you can send it to them as a PDF file or as an Excel file, or a classic report, which are sort of the standard reports that come within your system. And if you wanted to see any one of those reports, like income and expense, you can change the variables of those reports. And you can maybe choose different date ranges like you see here, right? I can choose a different date range or a specific date range, maybe current year, or select those dates on my own. Select a specific business unit so you can report on the various branches that you might have, or choose a reporting range, right? And maybe if I want to get the changes from last year, previous years, that type of thing. And I can click on any report and view them, or I can print them, I can email them, I can even fax a report if I needed to. And this is the way those standard reports will be generated. So you can see what is my year-to-date numbers for 2018 and 2017, and then the net differences or net changes between them. There's also a custom report generator, and that is called the My Agency Reports. We talked briefly about that in our meeting on Thursday, and those My Agency Reports provide for you a customizable report where you can change the columns, right? You could go here maybe to a book of business report, change the date ranges if you want to. But the most important thing to note about these reports is that they are fully customizable in the sense that you can add or delete columns to them. You can create even summary views from them, and you can manage all of that on your own. You don't have to be a computer programmer or anything like that to be able to choose columns to enter or delete, right? And here's a example of maybe that book of business report where you could come in and say, you know, I want to take out a certain column, hide those columns if necessary. Maybe the line of business non-premium column, I can do that, right? And I can even create summary reports, summary views. Maybe just give me the customer name, give me the original producer, the parent company, maybe the department, and then maybe all of the commission totals, or maybe annualized premium, something like that. And I can get a summary view of a report like this just by clicking here at the bottom, Add Summary. And so now I can only see those 5 columns. And in any of these cases, you can create as many summary views as you want. You can save them, right? Here will be my summary view. That'll open up here in just a moment. I can even resort these numbers by saying, hey, let me take that premium number and let's go largest to smallest so that I can, again, get a better perspective on this report. And when I do that, you'll notice that, again, the system will put all of my premiums in a descending order here so that I can see very quickly from a book of business report who are my largest customers that I service. Here's my summary. I can go back to the detail. I can add another summary, or I can save this format so that every time I come to my book of business report, it will look exactly the same way for me. So in closing, Ken, let me just say thanks again for your time, the time that you and your staff invested last week into viewing our demonstration. Tracy and I really appreciate it. We had a great time in your agency. Thanks again for your hospitality. We do appreciate that. Thanks again for lunch. I really enjoyed that. And Tracy will be back from Hawaii in a couple of days. I'm sure as soon as he gets back in town, he'll follow back with you. If you have any questions at all in the meantime, feel free to give me a call if you want. Ron Harrell at 303-570-2494. Or check me on email at rharrell, Harrell, @vertifor.com. Again, many thanks for your time. We look forward to welcoming you to the Vertifor family of users at some point in the near future. Have a great day. Bye now.